Hi, welcome to BCA Center's virtual curator tour of Apocalypse Diet, What Will We Eat? I'm Heather Farrell, BCA's curator and director of exhibitions. Apocalypse Diet features the work of 7 women artists who challenge us to rethink our relationship to food production within the context of climate change. The exhibit is guest curated by Stella Marrs as the second installment in BCA's Artist series, a program that invites Vermont artists such as Stella to curate challenging work that has influenced their creative practice. A special thanks to Stella and all our artists for a superbly thoughtful exhibition. Let's begin our virtual tour with the first work we encounter upon entering the gallery, Jane Addams' Aquaponic Diorama. Jane is a Vermont media artist and data visualization researcher at the University of Vermont, whose work entwines ideas of fine art and science as she visualizes complex systems. Aquaponic Diorama evolved from a real-life scenario as she was considering the complexity of moving her fish tank and its delicate ecological system between apartments. As the idea evolved, she began to wonder about the potential for apartments, or homes for that matter, to include some form of self-sustaining circulating cycle of food production. Could it be an appliance as common as a washing machine or dishwasher? I was really impressed that after nearly 2 months of our exhibition being closed at the gallery due to COVID, that her work, really a prototype, continues to function in the gallery, although it's a now empty fish tank. Rounding the corner of the installation, we encounter another one by Philadelphia artist Lee Sumpter. Her work centers on the African-American experience as a crucial perspective on climate change as well as environmental justice. Sumpter's installation includes her pop prophecy video interview with African-American farmers, a limited edition zine, and 2 large-scale posters from her original collages of Boom for Real Escape Artist series, Jean-Michel Basquiat. Lee often includes pop cultural references to survival and end times in her work as an Afrofuturist artist. Her zine seems especially relevant today with its disaster checklist for confronting the unknown. As you continue through the gallery, it may take a moment to locate New York artist Andrea Haenggi's asphalt cutouts of Staying with the Trouble. I remember it was cold. The work is unusual because it's not positioned on a wall, but rather on the floor. Andrea is an interdisciplinary artist who loves to draw upon her interests in choreography, performance art, and science. She invites us to crouch down to see the video playing on the iPhone of an intimate performance featuring her, the artist. The video takes place on the last day of her rented studio, where the artist decides to chisel out the asphalt of the parking lot and free the ground from beneath the pavement. She contrasts the vulnerability of her naked flesh in the cold winter weather with the sheer physicality of her labor to remove this heavy piece of pavement, which we can see on the gallery floor. By placing the video on the floor with the pavement, she cleverly draws the visitor to crouch closer to the ground, mirroring her performance. As you continue through the gallery, another visionary installation is the next Epoxy library, created by New York artists Ellie Irons and Percoco. This work brings sculpture, science, and activism together. It includes a seed bank, dried specimens, and books that function as a lending library/resource center, while also proposing the possible uses of wild plants if we were faced with a disastrous ecological event. Most of the seeds originate from vacant lots and abandoned infrastructure found in urban sites, but also include local seeds, such as those collected from Burlington's Cedars Lane, a brownfield site. While you can't view it in the gallery, you can find Candice Thompson's Collaborative Urban Resilience Banquet, or the CURB, at our website. Candace is a New York artist who describes herself as both a storyteller and citizen scientist. In her video, Candace asks us to join her as she forages for edible plants from her neighborhood, often what you and I may consider weeds. Along the way, she challenges us to reconsider our relationship to our local flora and fauna, not as the dominant species, but as equals within a shared ecosystem. Located in the back of the gallery are hundreds of plants growing in the evocative pink glow of Suzanne Anker's Astra Culture, Eternal Return. Based in New York, Suzanne created Astra Culture as an ongoing project inspired by NASA's research on growing plants in space. She juxtaposes the minimal forms of industrial boxes and LED panels with the living sculpture she creates from plants such as kale, beans, peas, even wheatgrass, which grew remarkably well in the artificial light. It is important to remember that Astra Culture simulates biological processes and is not a substitution. There was an enormous amount of energy and labor required to keep the plants living, and to be frank, they weren't exactly thriving. The living components of Apocalypse Diet have been one of the more logistically challenging aspects of the show, especially complicated by BCA's sudden closure in mid-March. Before the show's opening, more than 200 live plants had to be grown or ordered for Suzanne Anker's installation alone. We wouldn't have been ready without the support of UVM's helpful greenhouse staff, as well as our own guest curator, Stella, who was deftly sprouting wheatgrass at home into the wee hours of the morning. Rest assured, Jane's fish were also rescued, and most of the plants were eventually relocated as our closure extended into May. Apocalypse Diet's main premise questions, what will we eat in the face of dramatic climate change? And in these past few months, the show is even more prescient than ever as we witness the dramatic consequences of a global pandemic on society. Food supply and processing chains have been disrupted. Millions of Americans experience food scarcity and insecurity at a level they can't recall in their lifetime. Even the mass appeal to start home gardens, whether for economic or psychological benefits, has led to a shortage of seeds and starter plants. While these events from the past few months are not the direct result of climate change, they vividly demonstrate the precarious and interdependent nature of our global ecosystem. The artists and ideas embodied in Apocalypse Diet, What Will We Eat, are now more relevant than ever. Thank you.